Hey folks, John Mark here with Zportals. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the layout builder within the Zportals record here. So just to orient you, I am on customization and I've gone ahead and clicked on one of our modules. I'm going to choose contacts because there are a few other options here that I want to point out. So the first thing is when you have activated your modules, connected your CRM, chosen which modules you want shown in the portal. Those modules are going to be displayed on the left. We're going to go ahead and click on that module, and this is where you can choose to actually show it in the portal. So make sure that that's turned on. We can then choose a unique menu label. Sometimes the module name that we have in the CRM may not be the one that we want reflected in the portal. So maybe you want to change this to people. You can go ahead and make that change. This menu icon here, we have a library of menu icons, so you can search and pick the one that is most relevant for that particular item. We then have date formats, fairly self-explanatory how you want dates to show up in the portal. This feature over here, this multi-account feature, this is unique to the contacts tab. This is a feature that allows us to actually create almost like a single sign-on for a particular user. So oftentimes in the CRM, we have a hierarchy of accounts. And I'm going to jump over here to show you one of our demo accounts. We have global services. And within the CRM, you may have multiple child accounts that belong to a particular company. And that's usually done under this member companies over here. And I apologize for selecting the wrong one. Let's look at here we go. So you can see here that our National Services Inc. has two member companies of local services 1 and 2. And sometimes you may want a user to be able to, at the national level, see data across all of the child entities as well. Or if we are a corporate head at global services, you may want to be able to see your data not only at the national level, but down at the local level as well. So there are multiple levels that you may want that global head to be able to drill down to. We of course don't want that person to have to log into multiple portals to see the data at those different levels. So what we can do is we can enable this multi-account feature, and we can, through this, give the ability to see different hierarchies. So the default functionality in Zportals is that if a user, if a contact record belongs to a parent entity, then that person will be able to see or be able to navigate to some of the child entities as well. This little checkbox will show up over here where they can choose which entity they want to see the data for, or select all, where any records in here would be related to all companies underneath that particular hierarchy tree. Now, sometimes the companies you want this particular user to have access to aren't necessarily in the same parent-child tree. That's where this feature comes in. So by enabling this multi-account feature, what we are essentially doing is allowing us to associate a contact record not only with their main account, which is the primary account lookup field in the CRM, but we can have another account lookup called related accounts. And this is actually a multi-account lookup field. So we can essentially associate our John Smith here to their normal entity, and this could be a parent entity. So John Smith would be able to navigate to all of the child entities underneath our Voltex USA. Now, perhaps John Smith is working with a CPA firm, and he's a representative for Foltex USA, but he also does his personal taxes with that CPA firm. In this case, we can actually associate our John Smith here with multiple other entities. So perhaps a nonprofit that is affiliated or not with Foltex, perhaps his own household account. Again, that nonprofit or his personal account may not be in the same hierarchy tree as Foltex USA, but by essentially relating John Smith to that other entity, when he logs into the portal over here, those other entities will be available for him to navigate through under that single login. This setting over here that determines the hierarchy depth is determining how many levels down in that hierarchy tree you want that person to see. So feel free at any point to give us a shout if you would like to discuss your use case and how to use this feature, because it can be quite handy when you want a single sign-on for your users across multiple entities. So let's move on here to our data relationships. So once you have chosen to give a user access to the portal, we determine exactly which records they can see by the accounts that they're affiliated to. If in fact you've set up the portal as an account-based portal, be sure to check out our video on portal types if you don't know what that means. Next, what we need to do is determine if we are showing contacts that, in this case, belong to that user's account. Perhaps we want to show all contacts in the CRM to this user. This is great, for instance, for your products module. If you wanted to show a product directory, you're likely going to want to show all records. Or another example is, in some cases, you don't want to show all products or all contacts. You only want to show the active products or contacts of a certain type. In that case, you can select a custom view, and these are the views that you can build within the CRM. So we can pull or display contacts or other data within a module based on a view set in the CRM. You may not have that view created, so we have an option to create the view dynamically here within the portal. So you can create filtered views of certain records to show up in the portal. I'm going to send this back to our user records here. Now, these fields over here are used to help guide the system in knowing which user records to show. So we have to map on this contacts module the company name, the account lookup, the contact lookup, if it's going to be a contact-based portal, or the vendor lookup if it's going to be a vendor-based portal. So these modules or these settings over here work alongside the user records option here to essentially determine that, in this case, if we have our example user John Smith, because this is an account-based portal, John Smith will be able to see all contact records belonging to the account that is associated with that contact, meaning that John Smith will be able to see all of his colleagues under that Foltex USA. Moving on to the next section here, we have our title and description. So if you need some helper text to introduce a particular section in the portal, you can add a title and a description to that. So I'm going to go ahead and clarification goes here. If we go ahead and add some of this helper text, remember to save over here and navigate back to the portal. Let's go to our contacts tab. That description and that title show up in the record detail for that particular contact. So if I drill down here, and I'll just need a refresh. It's going to show up, on the list view. So here's our example, and the clarification goes here. So that helper text on this main screen over here shows up in the list view. If, however, you would like some helper text within the record detail view, check out our next video where we're going to dive into the layout builder to show all the options there. So next, what we're going to do is look at the permissions. So within a particular module, for all profile types, we can determine whether the default is for them to be able to view, add, edit, or delete permissions. We can show a date filter if we want, and we can give the ability for a user to actually download that list view into a CSV. So quite handy if you having a portal for different stakeholders that may need to be able to search for a certain group of records and then download them locally. The show attachment allows us to show the attachment section for a particular record, but you can also choose to hide certain attachments. So this can be quite handy if you still want certain attachments within a CRM record to remain hidden. You can append your own custom prefix to that file name and then choose to exclude those particular attachments from showing up in the portal. So as this example implies, you can have admin underscore, and as long as the system finds the file name with the admin underscore, it's going to hide that particular file from the portal. Of course, we can give users the ability to add attachments and delete attachments. And then this show slider option is pretty slick. If you have, for instance, a product directory, you can enable the slider and choose to auto slide this. And what's going to happen is the system will actually show a slider of all of the images in the attachment section of a particular record and cycle through them. So let me quickly pull up an example of what that looks like. Okay, so here I am on another one of our demo sites. And as you can see, I've added in the products module over here. And I have chosen to show our products in a gallery view. So skipping down one section over here, you can choose to show records in a list view or a gallery view. In this particular example, I chose the gallery view option. And if I click into this record, it's going to actually show us the slider that we were chatting about. So this image over here is actually an image that's in the attachment section for this particular product. And then you can have the system opt to auto slide the slider through the different images that are attached to that particular record. So common use case is like this, displaying a product directory and being able to cycle through the images for a particular product. So do play around with that. It's a pretty slick option. The view settings over here, you can either show records in a list view like this. And here's a list of our contacts where we want to show some details for records in a list view. If you choose this gallery view, it's going to look like this gallery over here for our product directory, where this image that's shown is the featured image within the Zoho record. So it's going to be that image over there for the record that will show up on this home screen. The slider is pulling from any images that are attachments on that particular record. In the list view, you can choose which fields are shown in this list view over here. On the gallery builder side, very similar options. You're just displaying those fields slightly differently, like the name and whether that product is active or not. Finally, for user filters, if you have a record that needs filtering, like this one, you can, for instance, add a filter over here based off of any value in the CRM. So you can pick and choose how you want those user filters to work. And then you can also have a search box, and you can choose which fields on that record the search is looking in. So this particular search field over here, you can see it's giving us, cut off a little bit in this view, the different fields that you can search on. And that's defined over here with the field names. So once again, make sure that you are hitting the update button after any changes on the screen. But thank you for your time. And in the next video, we're going to dive into the layout builder. So we'll see you there. Thanks. Cheers.